I think the recording has started. So I will welcome everybody again today for this session. Thank you for taking out the time. Thank you to the panelists to being here. We are here in collaboration with an NGO that Noeen has started called Endorse Hope. I will give you a brief introduction into the work that we are doing at the end of this session. First, I will start by introducing both of our panelists. First is Natosha Anderson. She is founder and CEO for Smart STEM LLC. She's a mechanical engineer turned award-winning STEM educator. Welcome, Natosha, and we will find out more about your journey. I won't give out all the details of your qualifications and credentials right away. Next, we have Vanita. Vanita is, wait one second. Yes, Vanita is a lot of credentials to begin with. So I'm going to go through them. She's BA Honors, she's MA, PMP, ALEP, BRM, and on the board of governors for the University of Manitoba. Again, thank you so much, Vanita, for being with us today. And again, I'm not giving into too much about your journey. We will explore that through the course of this interview / podcast / interaction, all of it. So to begin with, I want to first start by asking, can you tell us, both of you each, a little bit about your journey? I want you to talk about where you started from and how you got to being to where you are today. Anybody can start, maybe Natosha.
Ooh, okay, I'll start. So I grew up with a dad who was a mechanic. And so he taught me so many things. I'm one of 4 kids, and we spent many of our weekends and our evenings in the garage with our dad, learning about engines. And so not only was he a mechanic who had a day job, but his night job was that he built race car engines. And so, you know, I learned a lot. About of course, how engines work, but also, you know, what it took to put a thing together, right? From beginning to end, the thought processes, the conversations, the calculations, the whole thing. And so that was extremely interesting to me. And I carried that into what I wanted to be when I grew up. So mechanical engineering, you know, seems like a perfect choice. And it is the career path that I chose. Because it made the most sense to me at the time. Like I understood it in a way I didn't understand any other form of engineering. And I was like, it was the only thing that interested me at the time. So went to school, became a mechanical engineer, not really understanding all that I was going to come to be involved with, right? I was one of the few, integrated a school when I was in elementary school. My brother and sister and I were the 3 kids that integrated a school. So we understood what it was like to be in an environment where people didn't look like us, right? And we learned how to, and it was hard. I'm not gonna lie about it, it was hard. Took that into high school, took that into college, where I went to a PWI, a predominantly white institution, where a lot of times I was the only woman and the only minority in the class. So learning how to navigate that space kind of set me up to be able to do the same when I got to industry. But what I didn't really know and encounter was like the level, right? There are certain degrees and levels to some of the, you know, the microaggressions and the discriminations and the prejudices that existed for a Black woman engineer in predominantly white spaces. So I spent 10 years as a mechanical engineer, and I've told this story recently where it was in year 6 before I saw another Black woman engineer. And so I didn't have a mentor, knew nothing about a sponsor, you know, didn't know exactly who was an ally and who was not. And so my business really started from my experience, because I never wanted to be, or to have another Black woman, another woman of color experience what I experienced and do it alone, right? Have no one to talk to. I felt like I was alone. I felt like, how do I express, who do I express what I'm feeling and experiencing to, that felt safe, right? That someone who was going to give me good advice on how to navigate this space. I didn't know who that individual was. And so I wanted to be the answer to the question that I had that went unanswered. And so that's how Smart STEM was born. When I finished, when I said, you know what, I want to be, I love engineering. I'm an engineer. I'm always an engineer, but I felt like I would do more good in consulting and advising and in coaching than I ever could as an actual engineer. So that is my story.
That's quite inspirational. How was it for you, Vanita?
Well, I don't know where to start because I have so much to share in 3 minutes or so, because I'm originally from Ghana, and I came to Canada almost 32 years ago for an internship with IBM Canada right after university. I did not even stay to graduate. Like Natasha said, my course, I did computer science and economics. So there were only 4 girls out of 100 and something boys. So, that alone was intimidating enough, so when I got this opportunity, I came. Prior to that, I've never really traveled outside Africa. I've never taken a plane. I've never left home. I've always been surrounded by family, especially my siblings. We're a very nuclear family. So it was a total experience for me. People who knew me in high school and university would tell you, this is not the Juanita we knew, because I was very quiet, shy, bookworm. So people asked what happened. So, coming here, my flight was delayed. So I got here, my sponsors were gone, and it was a long weekend. So I was stranded at the airport. So Juanita had to figure it out, talk to a stranger. Found it, someone took me out. Then on Monday, I have to start work. I was told about the bus system. I didn't know much about the bus system here, how it works. I've never traveled outside Africa. What do you expect? I got lost. I have to talk to strangers and figure it out. Another shock was the weather, right? The sun would be out, and I thought, oh, it's hot. And I go out and it's very cold. In actual fact, I was in cultural isolation. And because for my first 3 months, I did not meet anybody from Africa or Ghana. I was very homesick. The food was different. It's not spicy. I have to eat broccoli. I've never eaten it in my life. And then for work too, even though I did computer science back home, I've never had a computer to myself, even at school. We have 4 people sharing it. I know all the theory, but some of the practical aspect, I've never had that time. So that was a big challenge, and I didn't know how to type. And that time, IBM, they were using props, so you have to communicate by email. I have no clue what email was. So as
approximately when was this? Like the year?
That was in 1990.
Oh, wow. Okay. that was long ago.
Yeah. So you can see it was a big challenge, but it wasn't time for me to cry or feel sorry for myself. It was time for me to figure it out. And I realized I have to learn quickly. So there was no role model, no mentor. So I turned to my dad, my role model, my lifetime mentor, my lifeline. And he had just retired as a chief technical officer from GBC. And he guided me through what to do, take notes, do labels and stuff like that. And then the other thing I figured out was to ask questions, the art of asking questions. So I asked lots of questions, I write things out. So within a span of 2 months, my boss was also actually surprised. I managed to set up computers and stuff on my own, to the extent that they gave me the best employee, whatever. They gave me a jet tickets to go was jets. So those for me, I think really shaped me. I think the other shock came, my traineeship, I cut it short because I wanted to go and continue with my master's degree. And I don't want to be in the middle of it because it was ending in March. So I said, no, I will stop it now and start in January. So then I needed a part-time job. So I thought, oh, I work with IBM. That shouldn't be a problem. Oh, no. So I have to figure out knocking doors and getting out of my comfort zone. People would tell me I have a different accent, or, I can't hear what you are saying. Can you repeat yourself? So as you can see, my anticipation of event was quite different from what I had thought was going to be. The quiet, shy girl from Ghana was no more shy. It was a survivor for me, right? So after that, I did some other jobs, on campus. I did some applied research jobs when, I was even in my PhD program. I got a job with Employment Project for Women. And then I had 2 boys, then I had my third son. I was like, and in my PhD, I was like, I'm done. My family is too important for me. So then I was looking for a job, and I worked at International Institute for Sustainable Development. And how I got that job was even a fluke. Nothing about that job description made me, other than I saw something about data analysis and stuff. I was like, yeah, I did econometrics. Yeah, I should be good with that. And that's where actually my project management interest started. Then after that, I had my third son. I have to travel. That job involves a lot of traveling. I have to go to, thank God I have a progressive husband, Chile for 3 weeks. I came back, and my baby, he was only 8 months, couldn't really recognize me. I thought, I'm done. So I have to look for a local job. So I got a job with the city of Winnipeg. And then there was a supervisor position after a year being there. Now Juanita is no more shy. I'm looking at, okay, where can I go? Looking at opportunities. and so I applied, and then they look at me, they go, some of my teammates were like, you applied? I said, why not? Then I was supposed to be interviewed. I have all the credentials, so I don't know why shouldn't I?
Exactly.
And my boss said, well, Juanita, you don't have supervision experience. So I was like, excuse me? You don't have any leadership experience? I said, yeah. How do I get it?
Yeah. You have to start somewhere.
I said, how do I get it if I can't go to school for it? So I said, how much, don't we have probation for this job? She said, yeah, we do. And I said, yeah. So instead of 6 months, give me 3 months. And if I don't perform, out. And that was it. So actually that boss of mine has become my mentor and a good friend and stuff like that. And I did a lot of stuff, right? And, and in between, there were other 2 managerial positions at the city. One of the highlights, because of time, I'll highlight, is being the first female Black to be in management and executive role at the Winnipeg Police Service and be responsible for all their technological needs. That didn't come small. Even my white friends was like, are you sure you're doing this? I was like, yeah. Somebody have to break that barrier.
Yes.
Somebody have to show something. And for me, I think my success had always been delivering results and showing what I can do. And I remember I was with the chief when we were setting up they had a helicopter and we had a press conference, and I was around him. And one of the counselors actually asked, oh, that's your new assistant. And the chief turned and go, no, that's the head of our IT department. Actually, she's the one who is doing A, B, and C, because I went there to transform things and stuff like that, right?
It was your mic drop moment.
Yeah. So actually, that counselor apologized to me, went for coffee, and but that's the stereotype that people see us, right? That's the stereotype, because they can't see a strong Black woman or whatever. You have to be something else, right? And I'll be talking based on some of the questions, giving some examples. The other big thing for me, breakthrough, was for me, I had 3 boys. Right? So, and I know I don't know what I don't know. So wherever they were, I was involved. My youngest wanted to play hockey. I knew nothing about hockey. I registered him. I didn't even know how to tie the hockey thing. And I'm the only female in the dressing room. And then I'll be asking others if they can help me. I'll ask myself, okay, what else do we need to buy? And then, so even one of the schools, I took them to private schools, of course. And, I went to parents, teachers, and they were looking for event organizer for one of the events, and nobody, so I raised my hand, and, and I did that. And then, the next thing I knew, they gave me binders. I was like, I'm not a stay-at-home mom. I don't have time for this. I want to be involved. I don't have time for this. So, you know what? One Saturday, I just sat down with a glass of wine, went through the binder, came up with 2-page tax and activity list. And after I was done, I created a report because I thought of who next. I'm always thinking of who next.
Who next?
And then the president saw it. And the next thing I knew, I was involved in so many things. I have to even chair my son's grad. I was on the board. I became the chair for their bursary fund. I was the only Black, there as well. So the same with Africa, getting involved in my community, PMI, University of Winnipeg, where I now teach as an educator as well. So like I said, I need a whole day. But what I want to say is that for me, there have been a lot of challenges and barriers, but from each of them, I try to draw a growth mindset, try to learn from it.
Correct.
Right? And what I need to do. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So the sense I'm getting from both of you is there is an infrastructure aspect of how inclusive it can be, and there is a societal aspect of how used to people around us are, how used to they are seeing a person of color in position of power and the response they give to them. So what I want to go into next is through your specific career paths, are there any specific challenges that you saw repeating over and over again that you had to break through every time, and that if us as the audience know, then we could create sort of a mindset to tackle it right away? Natasha, you can maybe start first, or maybe also talk about a little bit of your mental space as to how you could overcome it.
Yes. The short answer is, there are, so microaggressions is huge. Everybody's talking about them, but like they still exist, right? The thing where someone will say, like the one that had, I chuckle about it now, but at the time I was like, wait a minute, was the one where this is when I was teaching at a college. And another professor had called and had, said, can I speak to Dr. Anderson? I said, this is she. And we had, at the time, we had the video phones, so she could see me. Right. And when I said, this is she, really threw her off. Really, like she was expecting me to be or look like something else, right? And so, because she literally was like, well, oh, and did the whole, and then she launches into this, oh, your people must be proud, right? Like the words that she said were, your people must be proud. And so I said very calmly, what people do you mean? Are you talking about my family? Are you talking about, what people do you mean? And then she got very flustered, right? Just, oh my God, right? And so, it's like things like that. So you're me, I'm the unexpected one, right? And so dealing with people's expectations have been a thing that has been put upon us, right? So you expect us to be or not be a certain thing. And then when we exceed that in your mind, then we're special or we are, those things. And so that has been one of the ones that I've encountered at almost every single level of my academic and professional career. And so I think it says more about others than it does about us, because we already knew we were, we know we're smart, we know we are talented, we know we have skills, we know we can do the things, we know we think, like we're all the things that people say we are, and what we believe about ourselves. We already know these things. Like the only people who are surprised are the folks, right? So there's that microaggression. Then it's the ones where, of course, when I find myself being the only the only woman or the only Black person. And in similar experience where I was in a design review meeting with a guy, with the whole team of men, and I'm the only Black person and the only woman. And the guy, the head of the company that we were doing his job, comes in, throws a pad on the desk because he thinks that I'm the administrative assistant for the project. And I had to tell him that I was the mechanical engineer of record for his project and not the administrative assistant, having nothing against administrative assistants. And so turned all shades of red, apologized profusely, did that whole thing. And it's learning how to push through those moments, because when I tell you I was salty, right? But at the same time, the project still had to be done. I was there to do a job. I still had to be professional. So learning how to push through those things is also a part of what, some of the things that I've had to learn how to do growing up in the space. So
there's one aspect of it where you have to push yourself and motivate yourself because you don't have the right kind of mentorship and support system. And in addition, you also have to tackle the mindsets, which is a little bit of a double whammy. So is there something?
You don't have to. So here's the thing. What I've learned along the way is that we have no control over the thoughts, feelings, prejudice, discriminations, all those of the other people. What we can do is show up as our best selves everywhere, right? Show up as your true best self. I believe in it. I advocate for it. We've done enough to be in the space that us being in the space is what it is, right? So I don't want to put any more work on us as the minority or the woman in the space, that we must change, we must conform, we must do things so that other people around us are comfortable. Now, what you can do, you come with your skills, you come with your talent, you come with your leadership skills, you showcase all of those, and you do so in a respectful manner. I don't think anyone can ask anything other than those things of you.
Right. Vanita, how was it for you? Were there something specific through your journey that you had to work through and chip at over the decades and over the years?
I mirror a lot of what Dr. Anderson had talked about. And one of the big one I feel, especially for Black women, is that they feel very insecure, intimidated with Black women in leadership role than they do with others. Because, we get things done, we are organized, we get focused and get things done. For me, throughout my career, I focus on the goal. Why am I here? What am I supposed to do? And when they throw balls at you and you are still not bulging, just focusing on what you have to do and you're able to deliver, they get more intimidated because they've tried different tactics, it's not working. Some could be they've excluded you from a meeting, important meeting, they know you need to be there, right? And they will tell you, oh, sorry, I forgot. They didn't forget. So the biasness, like, for example, there was a place I worked. When I got there, they hired me because they knew what I bring. And within a few months, I was able to transform, get things done. They couldn't even deploy on an application. I worked with the team. We got things done. Our VP even said, no, you can't get this done. I was like, okay, we'll do the best we can. Like Dr. Anderson said, you just have to be professional and focused. For me, I'm always focusing on why I'm there, right? And each of these challenge and barriers I reflect. I do a lot of reflection and start thinking about what could I have done differently?
Yeah.
Why are they doing this to me? And I realize it's not me, it's them.
Yes.
It's them, because when you are doing things, because sometimes you do things and they think they can do it, but when they get there, they realize they can't. Right? So for me, when somebody tell me, oh, you are smart, you have wealth of knowledge and information, I was like, they came because I try to focus on what I need to do And each of these barriers and challenges, actually, I embrace them because each of them have taught me something.
Yeah.
You know, I can anticipate things. I remember my staff, they were like, how do you know this will happen? And I said, I've been in this game for a long time.
Yeah.
So I know what's going to happen, right? So, so it's, so that honestly, you know, and I'm just going to jump in. We talk about EDI, blah, blah, blah. To me, the needle hadn't moved much at all. The needle.
I actually want to get there very quickly before you answer. I want to ask my next question, which is quite a good segue there.
Yeah.
Is through your years of work, the environment and the countries and the politics of the world are only seemingly getting more and more polarized. And there are efforts being shown here and there, but the stuff that gets reported is never promising. So through those reports and through the polarizing environment, how do you keep yourself working at it? Because Natosha, you also have a lot of mentorship programs that you do, and you have a podcast that you conduct. And for Vanita as well, there are a range of organizations that you work with. So how do you keep yourself going at it? Do the EDI structures work? What are the major flaws that you could see?
Well, these are all the good questions. Okay.
Yeah, I can't go with that because
go ahead.
for me, I always tell people when they go, I said, take a look at the organization you are in. And I would like everybody to do that exercise. Look from the CEO to the second level, the VPs, to the directors, to the managers. How diversified is it? Honestly, before this, I was just doing that for an organization. I mean, I was like, actually, I'm the only Black. I'm the only non-white. But at the bottom, yes, they diversify.
Right.
What I've seen in my years and what I've seen is they have it in their strategic plan. They will bring somebody with EDI to come and talk. Where's the actions? Yesterday, I was at another board and I was telling them, this is great on paper. What's their action items? Oh, they are working on it. Remember, in October, I asked them the same questions. They have nothing. I said, what indicators are you going to use to measure this, to know you are making progress? However, when you look, the organization I'm talking, when you look back, you look at the HR and all the people there, and even the person heading EDI have never experienced does not even know what EDI is. Right? They don't experience it. So how can they put anything in place for us? They then do surveys to find out what is working, and because they don't have the desire to do it. You know, society is forcing people to put that on their strategic plan. But I think it's us that have to question. Yes, you say you were going to do this. It's been on the plan for 3 years. What has been done? You brought one person to give a talk, but in terms of actions, because you don't have to do much. Just look from the top, right? And I said, like I was like, oh yeah, I'm the only Black. Everybody else is non-white. But I tried to challenge. I've been accused of, oh, you only hire immigrant, and I was like, yeah, but I don't know any of them when I hired them. I had a test, they all passed, right? So this goes on and on and on. So for me, however, where you see some Blacks in big positions, not all, some are dummies. They are just there. They are just there for the name, and they're occupying a seat, and they are check boss. Some of us refuse to be check boss. I call myself a disruptor of the status quo. I will challenge you. You can't bully me. I will question it. Whatever the cost, I'm willing to take, because I don't want any other girl or woman or an immigrant or somebody, disabled to go through what I go through. If it's not favorable for me and I live there without making a change, it will continue. So that's why we have to keep amplifying our voices when we have to. But unfortunately, Sometimes our own people don't do it. They are too comfortable. They are afraid, oh, I'll be demoted. Oh, they won't put me on this. So you're doing it for yourself. So you have to have a mindset of growth. You have to have a mindset of breaking barriers. You have a mindset of helping others. If you don't, or we all don't, then we'll just be in this cycle. I'll give
I think part of it is that there's a lot of conversation about being diverse, but we have to, you know, there's two other letters in there, and we don't talk a lot about those. And so being equitable and being inclusive is equally as important as being diverse. And so there's not a lot of conversation. So they'll hire a Black person, or they'll hire, you know, a person of color into the role, and everybody, look, we're diverse, but they never really talk about the back end stuff. Did you put, you know, does that person have a staff, right? Is there a plan? Are there action steps? Are there actually, how are you measuring whether you're being successful at all of it, not just one part of it, at all of it? And did you get buy-in, right? From the top down, not just the, oh, well, we think we should be doing this because this is what everybody's doing. And so we don't want to be the one who says we're not doing this, right? We don't want to do that. Do you have buy-in, like real buy-in, like your CEO, your VP of whomever really believes that this is going to take all of us in order to make this successful? And so I think that's one of the problematic issues with DE&I, is that we're play acting at it, right? It's not real, it's not genuine, which is why I think I just read, yesterday or today, I was just reading an article about the death of DE&I, and they said this, the chief diversity officer. And it was mainly because they're not supported. It's performative, it's play acting. So it's one person, it's an office of one, they have no support. And because they have been a non-performer, they can be let go, right? And so it's a setup for failure from the beginnings. I'm looking at the chat, and I think that that's a good point that was made in the chat also. And so why I keep going is because I feel like I'm doing the right thing for me. This is a passion project for me that I've been able to parlay into a successful business. Coaching, mentoring women of color in the STEM space is what we need. Again, I don't want anyone to experience what I experienced and have no one to talk to, right? There's so much of this I can't control, right? Because it's about changing an environment, changing a culture. And we know changing a culture is hard in a business. Is that on average, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, I think they said that change starts to happen at year 3 or 4 of the change efforts. So, so like, wow, like that's a long time to change, change the direction of a ship. So, but what I can change and what I can, or at least try to have some imprint on is the individual. I can say, hey, I'm sorry this happened to you, but here's some things that I've learned along the way. Here's some things that I know that helped me along. I want to be the voice in their head when they get in the room that says, hey, this is how to handle this situation. This is how you stand up for yourself. This is how you be the professional that you want to be. This is how you hone those skills. These are some steps. These are some people to talk to, those kinds of, I want the opportunities that I didn't have. I can give that to someone else. And so that's why I do the podcast, because again, I'm a woman of color in STEM, and 6 years into my career before I met another one. If you don't really,
6 is long.
It's a long time.
It's a long time.
I do my podcast, Stemming and Stilettos, for everybody. Look it up. It's everywhere. I highlight the stories of women of color in STEM, and it's a gamut of women, because we need to know each other or know of each other, about each other, because we are honestly, we are a unique and small but mighty community of people, brilliant minds, brilliant women who need to know and be in the space together. We need to be building each other up, helping each other succeed, being a mentor, yes, ally, yes, a sponsor, hell yes, so that we can get into leadership positions. That's why I do what I do.
I want to have a quick follow-up question on that. So for everybody listening, could you elaborate a little bit more into what means to be an ally, a supportive ally, the right kind of ally, not the perception-based, like how you play act to be an ally, what it means to be a real ally, what it means to be a real sponsor, so that each of us on an individual level, what can we do to effect just even a ripple effect of change around us? Because God knows, expecting structures to change, expecting all the best laid out corporate structures to change, it's going to take a long, long time. But both of you are inspirations in the way that you have reached leadership roles. So looking down, what is it that in our own capacities we could start doing? And Natosha, maybe you can go first.
Okay, ask it again.
So what I want to know is, first, could you elaborate a little bit on what it means to be an ally and a sponsor?
Mm-hmm.
And second, once we understand our place in the scheme of things, what can we do on a personal, individual level in any organization that we are a part of to cause ripple effect of change? Got it.
Okay. So plug in my podcast again, but I will. So I just did an episode where we talked through the 4 people that you need in your professional life. And so one is an ally, and second is a mentor, third is a sponsor, and the fourth, of course, is a friend, right? So we need those, at least those 4 people in our professional lives. So an ally is the person who basically is willing to stand up when they see wrong happening, right? Or they experience it along with you. They're the ones who usually they're not of the same cultural or ethnic persuasion as you, okay? And they're willing to say, I think that's wrong. Or maybe it's a guy and they're in a room with other guys who are talking about women in disparaging ways. And they say, yo, this is not cool. We shouldn't be doing that. That's it. And they do it they do it at times when it matters, right? So it's like when it can affect whether this person gets an opportunity, whether they're getting promoted, whether they're getting the next project, or those kinds of things. So that an ally is a person who says, I'm going to stand up for what is right. And even if it's harming me in the process, right? Meaning I don't get that opportunity. That's a for real ally, a person who's willing to say, this is wrong. We need to equalize this and make it more equitable across spaces. A sponsor, to me, is the person who's talking about you and you're not even in the room. They know what your skills are. They know what your aspirations are, or they see something in you and they're willing to step up to the plate and help you get there, right? I've had sponsors and I can tell you, I didn't know them, so I've been in rooms with people and they're, and I'm like, man, okay, I'm not quite sure how I ended up in here. But hey, I'm always been the one who said, if I'm in a room, I'm supposed to be here. So I'm gonna make the most of this opportunity. And so I do. And so usually it's one of those, well, Dr. So-and-so or Miss whoever, Mr. blah, 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 told me about you. I literally just landed a keynote speaking engagement this week it was a cold call. A woman reached out to me and said, hey, this person recommended you for the role. I don't really know that person. That person is a sponsor. And I was like, oh, okay, let's talk about what it is and what it could be. We all have skills, talents, and abilities. And we don't, sometimes the things that I think we could do better at is showcasing that. Because we always think, I want to be humble and I want to be, let my work speak for me. Well, sometimes your work doesn't speak for you. You need to open up your mouth and tell your own story. There's nothing wrong with it. And I promise you, men do it all the time. And half the time they're not even doing half the stuff. Like for
Right.
real. So we need to be the owner of our own stories, tell it loud and long, be accurate, but do that because it matters. It matters. And so that's for me, that if I can teach any of the people that I'm mentoring right now, or if I'm, coaching you through a thing, or we're in conversation, that's the thing. We have to learn how to tell our own stories, right? You don't have to be a speaker. You just have to know how to tell your story. You got to own it, all of it, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and be able to tell it in ways in which the lesson, even from the failures, the things you messed up, here are the lessons I learned, and here's how I'm better by it or for it. That's what we need.
I am feeling motivated just listening to you speak. How about you, Vanita? What do you think about this?
Well, I mean, I think she said it all. Not much to contribute, but what I would say though is having that positive mindset, right? I mean, we all we get through challenges, and we have to basically speak for ourselves. They won't do it for you. So if you don't speak for yourself, for me, that's why I teach. And some of my students I hear, they know I teach out of passion. I share everything. I tell them the do's and the don'ts. I'm not afraid to speak my mind. I challenge HR. Everywhere I've worked, they have changed some of the HR processes, right? For example, I was away and I asked two of my project supervisors or project leaders to review application for a job. And they did. So when I came back from vacation, they go, we have 6 people, HR say, yeah. And I glanced through the application, for example, and I saw 2 that jumped at me. I was like, wow, they have everything we need. And I asked him, I said, why are we not interviewing these people? Oh, they don't have Canadian experience. So I said, excuse me? Where on the job description did we say they don't have Canadian experience?
Correct.
So then HR said, oh, Juanita, you are the hiring manager, but we already have 6 people and we can't do anything. And I said, no, I am the hiring manager. I make the decision. We have to write a test. And let me tell you the secret of me writing a test is so that I have the right people in the job. So when I say test, and I remember it cost me a lot of grief, even when I was at Winnipeg Police, people feel, I tell my staff, you don't show up at work and expect
Vanita,
promotion.
I think you're mute, is it? Can everybody hear her?
So then they don't,
okay.
you don't show up.
I think so.
You have to know, I have to. So my only way for making sure I get the right people so they don't tell me I'm being biased, I'm being this, is to make sure everything is transparent and clean. So we did the test. Guess what? Those 2 people I added scored the highest. We did an interview. Out of the 6 that they picked, only 1 passed. And at the interview, those 2 did very well and were hired. And guess what? They are one of the best people I have on my team. So what I mean, on individual basis, we can all do little things. Yes. Right? I have tried to help my own people and they slap it on my face, but that doesn't stop me from doing it. Right? I have gotten up at places, people go, oh, I've never seen a Black person there. Like my son's school is mainly white. I remember my eldest saying he's 28 now, Mom, I feel this and that, but it gave them that resilience and they see what you do. So it's our responsibility to keep breaking those barriers, right? I've challenged HR when somebody was going through, especially COVID, showing empathy, and they don't want to show empathy. So when we talk about diversity, inclusion, and equality, where is it? Because the policy changes are not being done. That's why this whole Black Lives Matters. I mean, I think Dr. Anderson said it. It's about culture change. Changing a culture, the resistance is huge. Yep. Because they have all these walls, right? So, but individually, we can all do it. So when I help or mentor a lot of people and they go, what do I say? Pay it for it. That's what I want you to do, is pay it for it. The policy changes have to be there. It has to come from the top. But if you have an HR department that have even their action doesn't say anything about diversity and inclusion, you are putting it in your strategic plan, that's an issue. And I've questioned that before. I said, what have we done in the last year to show that we're doing anything other than it being on paper?
Correct.
They will start staring at you. Oh yeah, we'll be working at it. Working at it how? By doing what? Oh, we hired 2 people. At what level? I said, take a look. All I ask people is just take a sit back, look from the top to a management level, see how diversified, whether it's women or whatever, and even the people that look like us that are there, they don't have any influence. And we also have to learn to support each other. Supporting each other, I'm supporting you to do well. I'm not supporting you because I want something from you.
Right.
Right? I supported a fellow friend who was running for politics. He's doing very well, you know, and people were like, oh, she's just using you. By now she should have given you more positions and blah. No, I did not support her because I want a position. I supported her because she's our face. I supported her to succeed. You guys have no clue what she's going through. So setting our own expectation too is very, very important. And having the right people. For me, people know me, I like positive energy. So that positive energy is what drives me, right?
From here, I want to digress just a little bit and focus on a community mindset a little bit more. So particularly because I know Vanita works a lot with a lot of organizations in Canada, which are, I have a list here. You work with African communities of Manitoba, African Canadian Heritage Organization, the Ghana Union of Manitoba, and a part of it will also overlap with 𝐻𝐸𝐬, because you are also sponsoring women in STEM and women of color in STEM. There is a lot of baggage that the world carries in general, whether be it the class so-called section of society that was treated as a second-class citizen for a really long time, or the ones that were in power. Now, this was a little bit of a personal question for me, because I see it when I came here from India. It is easier for me because I am privileged in terms of the financial background my family has, the educational background my family has, to let go of a past scar and move on and try to effect change around. But even in communities that we want to effect change in, they may not always be receptive because the baggage is really heavy and the emotional baggage is really scarring. So have you ever come across a situation where it was difficult to get through to people, to push themselves, to motivate themselves, to get out of their own mindset and their own, the sort of a box you put yourself in? Have you ever been through that, and how do you tackle a situation like that?
Ooh, it's a tough question, but and the answer is yes. Part of what I do is I like to work with youth, because, you know, sometimes as adults we're very set in our ways. We think we know that this is the way it's going to be. But if, you know, the youth, we still have an opportunity to shape and mold. And so, you know, I've worked really hard with the city of Atlanta and all around Georgia to bring STEM to underserved communities through various nonprofits and other organizations that I'm a part of. Because what I know is, again, it's not a matter of talent, thoughts, intelligence, or ability. It's a matter of opportunity, right? And so, and our kids don't have it. Our kids, Black and brown kids, don't necessarily have the same level of opportunities that other people's kids have. And so it's on, or at least in my mind, it's on us to be able to provide them with those opportunities, because we know our kids are brilliant. Like our kids are brilliant. And so they just need they need the same opportunities at the same level of funding and all the things to showcase that, right? And so that is a huge part of what my work is. And so delving a little bit into my background is my PhD is in educational leadership. My dissertation was on the mathematics and science abilities of middle school girls, because girls, Black girls in particular, girls of color in school are having a very different experience than boys, and particular in mathematics and science classes. They are still the same prejudices that we're experiencing in the workplace, with men saying, oh, she's a woman, she's not as smart, blah, blah, blah. All those thoughts and opinions trickle down to little boys, and honestly, into the world of education. And so it's our job to come back and say, hey, I made it. And here's how I did it. Here's how you can do the same. Here are these activities that I wish that I knew when I was 6, right? But you can do now, and you continue to do them, put them in the hands of kids over and over and over again, because it's not a one-time deal. You can't do one STEM event in the community one time and think you've done something. It has to be a continued effort over time. For our kids to be able to have those same sustained opportunities to grow those same skills. And so I believe in it. And that's the work that I've made a promise to myself that I'll be doing until I cannot. And so it's I can see the spectrum of it, right? So you start off as a little girl, you have an interest, you have opportunities to grow said interest, you go off to college, you get the degrees or the certificates or the things, you move into a career, you reach back and you do the same thing. Okay. That's what we need to have happen more and more and more. You become a mentor, you become a coach, you become a mom who's doing the same thing. That's what I'm hoping to see more of. I see it, but it's in small pockets. But it's also, again, something that we don't talk about a lot, and we need to talk about it.
Yeah, it's true. How about you, Vanita? What do you think about this?
No, I think in the same line, I have 3 boys, and they are 28, 25, and 23. So, and I know they have girlfriends, and when the girlfriends see me, they'll go, wow, now we know why you treat me like a queen. Because showing respect to women, I mean, like women in STEM, that's been my advocate. I'm in STEM. I know some of the biases. So for me, it's not just about, equity, diversity, and inclusion. It's being Black, being a woman in STEM, and being an immigrant. So whatever a white woman issues will have, mine is tripled, right? And so I have to look at things that way. And in our community, there is that power struggle. I love working for the youth too. I like working with the youth, the young people. So for example, the African community you talked about, I'm from Ghana. I want my boys to be involved in our culture celebrations. But one thing I found, I was a very busy person, and somebody would send a schedule very late, 4 o'clock, they are dancing at 6. I was like, no way. Instead of sitting down and complaining and talking about it, I decided to be, even though I didn't have time. Again, that's where priorities comes in, right? It was important for me, because for me, my family comes first, right? So juggling everything is my family. Everything my boys are doing, I'm there. Whether I know it or not, I'm going to learn it, right? I'm going to be involved. So then I got involved and I said, okay, and then I became part of the stage management team. And in the end, I ended up heading. So one of the things, they didn't have any schedule. I set up just a Excel spreadsheet, and about 20 years, they are still using that Excel spreadsheet, just because I want my boys to be able to be involved. And I felt others may know and they won't talk about it. So sometimes when we see things and we have something to give, we do that, right? And most of my team at Fokorama, they were all young people. Like, they were young people that, they would tell me, oh, you inspire me. Just, you never, even if they do something wrong, you have to find a way to teach them how to do it. We don't bring that whole mentality of, oh, okay, I'm older than you, so I know. I don't believe that. Honestly, I have a lot of young people and I learn from them. I don't believe that I know, not in any single day do I believe I know everything. My students teach me every day. People I meet every day teach me, you know, but there's been a lot of funding for some of these programs, but are the funding going through to the right program? And are we utilizing it for what it's meant for? So I believe we can all do our part in wherever we find ourselves.
Yes.
You know, we all have a role to play. And
Yes.
for me personally, that's my mission. That's my passion. That's why I'm involved in everywhere. And everywhere I am, I have a voice.
Yes.
I'm on this box, not for me, but for others. There are disappointments. Sometimes you even bring out a thought and they'll pretend they didn't hear it. And somebody else will bring it up and they will all jump into it. How do we deal with it? So I remember there was one recently and I said, oh, that was what I brought up last week. It's in the minutes. And they all start looking at you weirdly. No, I'm claiming my space. Right? I'm claiming my space. I know they know I brought it up. Now somebody else can bring it up and it's okay. So we need to claim our space wherever we find ourselves.
Good, like that.
And that's how sometimes we break some of these barriers.
Like that.
We can't keep quiet and say it's not my problem because I get my paycheck and go home. Well, if we don't deal with it now, how are we going to make any progress?
Correct.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. No, Noreen, do you want to add something?
Yeah, no, I was just going to say that we are running out of time, so I need to create the
Yes.
breakout rooms. So everyone, I'm going to
Perfect.
create 2 breakout rooms. You will be assigned to each of the room, and you will have the opportunity to have direct interaction with our panelists and speakers. So I'm going to do it right now. And after that, we will have some closing remarks and then we will end the session. Thanks everyone for joining us today. I'm going to open the breakout rooms now.
Yes.
Start recording. Sorry, recording was not in progress. So,
What were you asking me? You caught me off guard.
no, that's fine. It was completely misunderstanding. I think I was just going to say that this event was organized together with 𝐬𝐞𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬 Canada, and she is currently running also several organizations in Canada, mainly focusing on African and Indigenous Canadian people. So I will leave the floor to Priyanka. And before that, I would like to announce that we have also launched not under endorsement organization, but under our Scientudio, the business internship, global business health internship, which is open for early career phase professionals and mid career phase professionals. If you would like, you can join and you can polish your skills that can help you enter into the industrial career. You can go to our website and you can submit the application. The deadline is March 5th. Now, Priyanka, you can go ahead and say the concluding remarks. And before that, Vanita and Natosha, would you like to add anything as a conclusion?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah,
I just have a few things. One is let your voice be heard. Ask the questions, all of them. Again, if you're in a room, you're supposed to be in there, walk in there with all knowledge and your full whole self, regardless of what you look like, sound like, all of that. Be you at all costs.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's an amazing parting line to go with. Vanita, I think you're mute.
Going to say something in that line about myself. I keep myself inspired doing things like this, breaking barriers and facilitating equality for all every day. And whenever I encounter challenges and barriers, I try to approach it with a positive mindset. and also to break barriers, and especially for immigrant women in STEM and girls. Have your be your authentic self. Let your voice be heard. Have a growth mindset. Turn every challenge into opportunities, as failures is not a permanent mindset. And stay positive and focus on your goal. Anything you do, make sure there is an impact. If there is no impact, why are you doing it? And not just impact for you, impact for all of us, impact for the society. Thank you for allowing me to add my voice to this conversation.
Yeah, it's the pleasure is all ours. You're both very, very inspiring, and it is all our pleasure to have you speak your thoughts and to hear and learn from you. I hope this has been a great experience for everybody who has attended, and I'm sure you can contact them if you have more questions. And then us too, if you have any recommendations, I guess we can have a host other women leaders, other barrier breakers, and have more questions too. I'm totally up for running this as a frequent session every once in a while. So yes, thank you everybody for coming in. I would like to take a small minute to talk about under Endorse Hope. We have two initiatives running. One is for education, and the other is for women's sanitary health and reproductive health. I will just quickly share my screen. Knowing, do I have the permission to do that? In collaborations with Great Lakes Peace Organization.
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Okay. I have it somewhere. Yeah. So this is Give Hope and Gift Hygiene. You can go on our Scientudio website, and we have all the video and the information there where we are trying to raise money. The campaign was created by the Great Lakes Peace Center in Uganda, and we are collaborating with them to raise the money to give it to the girls in schools in Uganda, so that they can make their own sanitary napkins and reusable, so that they don't have to miss out of schools. They can continue their education, not fall into early marriage and children and the whole other gamut of issues that come along with it. Have a healthy reproductive system and reproductive hygiene. So go through it. If you can spread the word, if you would want to donate, you're more than welcome. That's about it. So I'm gonna stop sharing, and yeah.
Thanks everyone.
Add anything? Yeah.
Thanks everyone for joining. Please support this campaign. It is very important because it is about homemade reusable sanitary pads, where they don't have to be dependent on the market available pads, because it is a huge economical burden, and many girls, they cannot afford it, and they cannot go to the schools during the menstruation, and that's why they have to drop out of the school. So this is the biggest issue in Uganda. We are running this campaign with Uganda Great Lakes Peace Center, and to help them more independent, we are distributing the kits there, and we are training them how to make their own hygiene and how to clean the kits afterwards. And one kit is good for them for 1 year, basically. So if you would like, please support this campaign. And it was under Scientudio, but now it is going under the Global Welfare Program, which is under Endorse Hope, our organization, NGO. And most of the donations which we will collect, most of them will go on ground in the field for the workers who are actually working with those girls. And they actually go from school to school, from institute to institute, and they train them. So if you guys would like, your little help and sharing would help a lot to boost this campaign there. And maybe we can start in other African countries too. So yeah, anyone else has to share? Someone, you actually raised your hand, Mr. Right? No? Okay. So with that note, I think I will end this session. And if you would have any question, please, you can connect with me on LinkedIn, and connect with Priyanka on LinkedIn, and you can definitely Oh,
Yes.
Vanita has something to say.
I just want to
Well,
thank you, Noin and Ned, for putting this together. You guys are fabulous,
Yes.
and looking forward to having more of these platforms to ensure our voices are heard and we're able to share, you know, our thoughts and how we overcame some of this. Thanks, Dr. Anderson. I think we'll be getting together again and doing more of this. Thank you, everybody, for coming. It was a privilege and honor to be on this platform. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Great.
you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Take care. Have a great day.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Hi, everyone.
Bye. Are we staying?
If you guys like, you guys can stay. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't. I can just
It
stop
went well.
the
It went
recording.
really well.